As the first pale light of morning slowly spreads across fields and villages, medieval Europe begins to awaken. Mist rises gently from the ground, church bells remain silent, and the world feels quiet and still. For ordinary people in medieval times, daily life was simple, repetitive, and deeply connected to nature. Most people lived in small villages, worked the land, and followed traditions that had changed little for generations. There was no hurry. Each day followed a familiar path. Morning in a medieval village. Most families lived in small wooden or stone houses with thatched roofs. Homes were modest, often consisting of a single main room shared by the entire family. At sunrise, people rose from straw-filled mattresses placed close to the hearth. The fire, kept alive through the night, was the heart of the home. It provided warmth, light, and comfort. Cleanliness was simple but valued. Faces and hands were washed with water from nearby wells or streams. Life moved slowly, without urgency. Clothing and breakfast. Clothing was practical and made to last. Most people wore wool or linen garments, often mended many times. Colors were natural and muted, shaped by available dyes and materials. Breakfast was modest. Bread made from rye or barley was common, often eaten with cheese or porridge. Meals were quiet and shared without ceremony. Food was precious and waste was avoided. Work and daily labor. As the sun rose higher, work began. Most medieval people were farmers. They tended fields, cared for animals, repaired fences, and prepared tools. Farming followed the rhythm of the seasons, and patience was essential. Craftsmen such as blacksmiths, carpenters, and weavers worked steadily at their trades. Their work was slow, careful, and essential to village life. Children helped from a young age. They learned by watching and participating, gradually taking on greater responsibility. Community and shared life. Villages were close-knit communities. Neighbors relied on one another for support, especially during difficult seasons. Markets were small and local. Goods were exchanged calmly. Conversation was familiar and unhurried. Religion played a quiet but constant role in daily life. Churches stood at the center of villages, offering structure and reassurance. Simple prayers were part of everyday routine. Health, care, and balance. Health in medieval Europe depended largely on routine and tradition. People relied on herbal remedies, rest, and simple care passed down through generations. Illness was accepted as part of life. Healing was approached with patience rather than panic. Balance between work and rest was important, even if life was physically demanding. Afternoon and quiet moments. As afternoon arrived, activity slowed. People rested when possible, especially during warmer seasons. Moments of quiet were common. Sitting near the hearth, repairing tools, or simply observing the land allowed the mind to settle. There was no expectation to be constantly busy. Stillness was a natural part of the day. The rhythm of the seasons. Life in medieval Europe was shaped by the changing seasons. People paid close attention to weather, daylight, and temperature because their survival depended on it. Spring was a time of preparation and planting. Summer required long days of work in the fields. Autumn brought harvest and careful storage of food. Winter slowed everything down, inviting rest and patience. These cycles were accepted without resistance. Time was not rushed. Each season arrived when it was ready. Watching clouds move across the sky or listening to the wind through trees was a normal part of life. Nature set the pace, and people followed. Faith, silence, and inner calm. Religion was present in everyday life, but often in quiet ways. Small prayers were spoken at home, sometimes without words, simply as moments of reflection. Churches offered a sense of stability. Even when life was difficult, faith brought comfort and order. Silence was common and accepted. Long pauses were not uncomfortable. They allowed thoughts to settle naturally. People believed that patience and humility created inner peace. Animals and daily companionship. Animals were an important part of daily life. Chickens, goats, sheep, and cows lived close to people. Caring for animals created a steady routine. Feeding, cleaning, and watching over them filled the day with simple responsibility. The sounds of animals, footsteps, breathing, soft calls were familiar and comforting, especially in the early morning and late evening. This closeness to living creatures reminded people of the natural balance of life. A slower afternoon. As the afternoon passed, energy slowly faded. Tools were set aside. Movements became more deliberate. People sat near their homes, repaired clothing, sharpened tools, or simply rested. There was no pressure to be productive at every moment. Stillness was not seen as laziness, but as preparation for the next day. Evening at home. As daylight faded, families gathered again. Evening meals were warm and filling. Soup, bread, vegetables, and occasionally meat were shared around the fire. The hearth glowed softly, casting gentle light across the room. Conversations were calm and familiar. Stories were told quietly, often about family history, local events, or lessons learned over time. Night and rest. As the night deepened, villages grew silent. Fires were reduced to embers, doors were closed. Families lay down to sleep, guided by darkness rather than time. Outside, the world rested under the night sky. Tomorrow would follow the same steady rhythm. A life of endurance and simplicity. For ordinary people in medieval Europe, a good life was not measured by wealth or power, but by survival, family, and continuity. Day after day, this gentle rhythm carried communities through centuries of change. And as the night deepened, medieval Europe rested quietly, ready to awaken once more with the coming dawn.